Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video today. We are here with part 49 of our F1 2021 My Team Career Mode here for the Brazilian Grand Prix, or the Sao Paulo Grand Prix I guess it's called in this game, at Circuit Interlagos. It should be an exciting race coming into this round. We have quite a bit of a lead ahead of Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen in the driver's standings, and in the constructors we got 25 points over Ferrari, so really, these last 4 rounds are about maintaining that championship lead to nicely round out this iteration of the game before we head on to F1 22 in the near future. Heading into this round, our pace was okay. We actually qualified somewhere near the front this time, which is good compared to normal where we qualify around midway to the bottom of the top 10. So yeah, perfect qualifying session. Well, I say perfect, pretty good qualifying session for us here in Brazil. All right for Max as well. And without further ado, let's have a look at the race rundown.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole position today, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Benjamin, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Verstappen, Bottas, Vettel, Sainz and Lando Norris, Tsunoda, Ocon, George Russell and Stroll, Latifi, Giovinazzi, Nobuharu Matsushita and Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, Schwartzman and Fernando Alonso rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So here we are lining up on the grid for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in 3rd place. So decent qualifying session from us here at Interlagos, and a perfect opportunity to try and maximise our position in the championship. We've got Perez and Ricciardo taking up the front row. We've got our main championship rival, Charles Leclerc, currently sitting in 5th, so just a couple of spots behind us. He'll be directly behind us on the grid, and of course Max in 6th place just behind Leclerc. So hopefully our teammate can get a good start and try and get ahead of the Ferrari, who he hasn't been as strong at the end of this season as he was at the start of the season. So it's been a bit of a funny championship where Leclerc was really the guy to beat in the first half, and now coming into this second half, it's sort of been a bit more of a mix of as Ferrari have sort of fallen back further into the pack. So yeah, there's a lot of questions heading into this race. Who's going to win? Who's going to make up the most positions? Obviously, Max and Charles are going to be fighting to get towards the front, as are ourselves, because every point is important at the closing stages of this championship. But we're going to go to the 5 red lights now here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and we are away. It's an alright launch, but not the greatest complete getaway there, as we just have a bunch of wheel spin. But look, there goes Hamilton, there goes Max. He's made up a bunch of spots. As we head into turn 1, we're going to go side by side with Vettel and Leclerc there. We get ahead of both Ferraris. Max, though, what an awesome start for our teammate, from 6th to 3rd by the time we're exiting turn 3 there. But as we now head down towards turn 4, we've got both Ferraris attacking us. I'm going to go defensive there ahead of Sebastian Vettel, but we got our rival Leclerc trying to go around our outside, but we do get ahead of the Ferrari and do hold on to P5. So unfortunately, we've lost 2 spots off the start there, but Max has made up 3 spots. Ricciardo's taken the lead from Sergio Perez at the start, so a little bit of a shuffle happening there at the start of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. But as we now head towards the end of lap 1 to the start of lap 2, we're going to go side by side with Lewis Hamilton down towards turn 1. Mercedes power versus Audi power. Who's going to win out here? As we head through the first corner, we're going to have the outside line, which will give us the inside for turn 2, and that does get us ahead of the 7-time champion, and we can now look ahead to trying to chase down our teammate Verstappen, and hopefully try and go even further than that, really, if we can. We set a purple first sector, obviously, because it's only the second lap. As we now cut to lap 3, we're going to go for a little bit of an order check here, just to have a look where everyone sits. So we got Ricciardo leading the way after starting 2nd place here in Brazil, and he is ahead of Sergio Perez in the Red Bull in P2. Max and ourselves sit just behind him in 3rd and 4th, with Hamilton behind us in 5th. Leclerc and Vettel, the 2 Ferraris, sitting in 6th and 7th. They've really dropped off a bit from the start of the season, as I was saying on the formation lap. Those guys were absolutely 1 and 2 at the start of this season, especially Leclerc. was absolutely unstoppable. If you remember, like about the first quarter of the season, I was saying that if you don't get in a battle with him early, then he was just going to drive off on his own. Lando Norris sits in 8th, the reigning world champion, who really hasn't been around this season. It finally is ahead of Sainz, who sits in 10th. We've got Bottas and the other Red Bull sitting in 9th as well. So, yeah, good to see Lando starting to pick it up a little bit and getting ahead of his teammate, because Sainz has definitely been the number one McLaren driver here this season. I don't really know what happened. You would think that after winning the championship, Norris's form would just be on top of the moon, but it just really hasn't been the case for him. As we now head on to lap 5, we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We're going to try and go for a move around the outside of our teammate at turn 1, but I decided to back out of it there. We just weren't quite far up enough. I didn't want to get in an incident with Max, because obviously, whilst we are fighting each other for the title in the driver's standings, we are trying to work together to get as much points as possible to win the Constructors. And you can see there, just being patient, paying off as we get ahead of our teammate in the turn 4 into 3rd place again. And now we can chase down Ricciardo and Perez. As actually, Max got a good run out of turn 4 and 5 there, and so he's attacked us into the sweeper. And we're going to have to go around the outside here and just finish off that move nicely. He won't be able to get a sort of a switchback maneuver done on us here, and that is us actually done in P3. I was surprised to see Max come straight back at us to there, but as we now head on to lap 7, we are right behind the Red Bull of Perez. He's going to go defensive into turn 4, so we're going to go to the outside, try and get the better exit out of the corner, and we do get ahead of the Red Bull there, and he shouldn't be able to attack us. You can see he's right behind us here. He's going to have a little look, but yeah, inevitably we are ahead there. And as we now head on to the end of lap 9, so a couple laps later again, we're right on the back of Ricciardo, and he doesn't have DRS, so this is the easiest move we've made so far this race, because finally we're trying to attack someone that doesn't have DRS, and that is us into the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Can we hold it though? I don't have a whole bunch of pace over these guys. I was just sort of getting lucky with their overtakes being nice and flowy and looking after our speed. But as you can see, straight away, we're under attack from our former teammate once again into turn 4. Ricciardo had the DRS that time, so we're going to try and hold it around the outside. But Ricciardo does get ahead. Although, actually, no, we're going to actually keep it alongside there around the outside, have the inside of the sweeper, so it's going to be a massive side-by-side battle here with Daniel Ricciardo as we now head into the sort of tighter, twistiest part of Sector 2 here. We're going to have to go around the outside of the long left-hander. We have just about held it, which will give us the inside for this sort of tight, very cambered corner here. And again, Ricciardo's able to hold around the outside, so we've been side-by-side for the better part of half a lap here, and this is allowing everyone behind us to sort of close up and catch up to us, but I've run a little wide there. I almost lost the car, and I rejoined safely there, but that has allowed Perez to get back through, so we're back down to 3rd, and we got Max right on our tail, but Ricciardo doesn't have DRS, luckily there. The DRS detection zone is a little bit after that on the straight. So Perez is going to go to the outside. We're going to go to the inside. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Are we going to be able to come out of this with no damage? So we're still, all 3 of us, side by side through turn 2 again. And we're still going side by side. Perez pulls out of it there. And Ricciardo's able to get around the outside. So he made the move up into 2nd place. We've got Perez just behind us trying to make a way through. Max trying to get through on Perez. We've got the Ferraris battling each other. Everyone's having a go here as we go to the inside of Ricciardo at turn 4. We take the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix again, and Perez has also been able to make a move there and get through, and Ricciardo is now making a move on us. This is insane. All the swapping and changing of positions here as we head into the tighter part of Sector 2 again. It looks like Perez might have the better line on us here because he is just slightly ahead. As we head out of the corner, Perez does get the better traction, and we're back down to 2nd place. Perez takes the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Finally, after starting on pole and dropping back, he's finally taken back that lead, but as we know, obviously, we're heading on to a big DRS straight now, and he won't have it. So, it's looking like we could have another big battle on our hands here as we head down towards the start of lap number 12. And we're getting close to pit stop time, so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing cars make a pit stop. We've got Hamilton in the pit lane, and we pretty easily fly past Perez there. Same as with Ricciardo. It's not really a competition when one of the cars doesn't have DRS, but yeah, we're going to cut to the end of lap 12 now. And nothing really happened there over the course of lap 12, but now it's our turn to be the car that doesn't have DRS down this main straight as we head on to lap 13. Perez is going to look to the inside of us here as we head into turn 1, and he's actually got it completely ahead there, so I decided to just tuck in instead of trying to fight around the outside. As we now head through turn 3, we're going to have DRS on this second bit of straight after turn 3, and actually it's a pretty easy to the inside move there. Is he going to be able to hold around the outside though? We've been forced to the inside a little bit. I've run a little bit deep under brakes and lost it a little bit trying to get on the traction, and so Perez is going to have the better run as we head down towards the sweeper. We run at middle of the track there, sort of more towards the inside to try and stop the Red Bull from going for a move there, because it's clearly been demonstrated to us that the AI is not afraid to try and make a move into that sweeper. But we now head to the end of lap 14 here, and we got some cars in the pit lane. There's Perez, Verstappen, and Leclerc. Sainz, I believe that is just behind there. So those 4 guys have come into the pit lane. They were really the only cars that we were battling with in the end there, because Vettel, Ricciardo, and Hamilton came in a lap or 2 earlier. As you can see there, all these guys going onto the hards. It is a pit stop onto the hard compound tyres at this point to go to the end of the Grand Prix, and you can see no real changes of position there. All 4 of them coming out where they left, which you'd sort of expect. No one really got held up in their pit bays. But let's have a look at where these guys rejoined. Vettel has jumped a lot of them. He's jumped Perez there, so it looks like the undercut has really paid off there for Hamilton, Ricciardo, and Vettel, because really, if these guys have been jumped by the undercut, then, you know, we'd have to as well, because we were right with the 4 that just came out of the pit lane, so it would make sense that we have also been jumped. You can see here's Vettel, he's just come out ahead of Sergio Perez. Ricciardo and Hamilton, however, are quite a bit ahead. Hamilton, though, interesting to note, is that he's on the soft, so he's actually gone for a 2-stop strategy, so interesting to see how that strategy plays out for Mercedes. They've sort of split between trying the 1-stop and the 2-stop there, as we now come into the pit lane at the end of lap 15. We're going to go for the hard tyres to the end of the race. I just think that's the better strategy to go for. I think it's, you know, we've clearly got the pace to run with these front guys. If we didn't have the pace to run with them, then maybe I'd consider doing the 2-stop just to try and do something different instead of falling back. But we've clearly shown that we do have the pace to get in front of these guys. It's just about trying to hold them off. As we now exit the pit lane through the very, very long pit lane here. Pit lane exit in Interlagos, as we come around the corner to rejoin the track. There goes Perez. So Perez is ahead of us. We've obviously been jumped by the 2 Mercedes and Vettel as well, and we slot in between Sergio Perez and our teammate Verstappen there, as we now head on to lap 16 here. So yeah, we've got a lot of battling to do. And we're going to have a look at Hamilton here. You can see he's got 5.5 seconds to Ricciardo, so it's actually a pretty big gap to his teammate, and Hamilton is showing some good pace here. So I think if he gets lucky, if he plays his cards right, he could definitely come through and get a good result here. The 2-stop could be the right strategy for him. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out as we head towards the end of lap 16 here. Is anything going to happen down this straight? There's certainly some cars getting close to each other, including us being very close to Sergio Perez up ahead. But you can see the 2 McLarens still down the bottom of the top 10 here. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make a move on Perez there. But yeah, there's certainly things starting to come together now in this race with the 2-stop strategy for Hamilton, as well as the 1-stop sort of shuffling us all around. You now have to expect us to have something happen here, some sort of battle, as we all try and fight towards the front of this pack as we head to the end of lap 17. Nothing really happening on 16 there as we exited the pit lane. But as we now head down the main straight, we are very close to the back of the Red Bull. And as we close in, he has DRS, so do we, though. We're going to try and go to the outside of turn 1 here. We have to make sure we don't hit Vettel too late on the brakes there. But we do get ahead of Sergio Perez as we head down to turn 2 and 3. And now, he's obviously going to have DRS on us. We have DRS on Vettel, though. We're going to move across the defend, and we make contact. I've hit the wall. We're out of the race. Our tyres off, same too with Perez, I think. That's it. That's it. We're out of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Here we are then, a real team effort to overcome their rivals for a memorable win here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
And so that's how Max gets his second win for the team here in Brazil. Super unfortunate there for us. Just misjudged where Perez was and moved over to defend, and I guess we just sort of made contact. Yeah, I don't know whose fault that was really. It was sort of, I moved over to defend at the same time that he decided to try and put his nose up there down the inside, and it just all came together. and that is massive for us. Max wins the race. We score absolutely 0 points. Luckily for us, Leclerc was down the order. He's in 7th, so he's closed in by 6 points on us, but, you know, who knows what's going to happen. By the last race of the championship, it could be decided by less than 6 points. Who knows? Every point matters, as we've learnt in these championships. In terms of the driver's standings, though, it's actually Max that's in 2nd, not Charles, as we now have only 15 points over our teammate, who is now our main championship rival, as Leclerc drops down to 3rd. And it's certainly still only a battle between the top 3 of us, and Leclerc could absolutely still come through and win it with 3 races to go. There are plenty of points still on offer for him to come back. But, yeah, it's just going to be a little bit hard for him now, especially since we have a race buffer over him still on points. But Max, on the other hand, could very well come through and do some damage to us in the coming races. We now have 42 points over Ferrari, and, you know, the further we go through here, it's looking more and more like we have this championship sealed, because Ferrari just don't quite have the pace that they used to, as also demonstrated by the fact that Max has overtaken Leclerc. Yeah, they sort of just haven't really kept up with the development like they needed to be kept in this. But, guys, that is all for this video. A bit of a somber ending to that one, really. We have Australia next, our home Grand Prix, so hopefully we can perform well there and do one proud for the home fans. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy and want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.